Motivational Steroid Sports. When Murli burst onto the scene in the early 1990s, the prodigious turn that he got bowling his off-spin caught everyone's attention. For starters, he was a wrist-spinning off-spinner and had a very unique action which took a while for batters to figure. Sometimes when bowlers bowl, there is a bend in their elbow at the time of delivery. The ICC acknowledges this to be normal and allows for a 15% bend. However, in the early 1990s, the permissible bend was 5%, when Murli burst onto the scene with his freakish turn and unique action that players from outside the subcontinent, local Australians and English, could not decipher, and started getting wickets by the buckets. It inevitably raised a few eyebrows. How can he be getting that much turn bowling off spin? It must be cause he is chucking because of that weird action. A fairly convenient judgment was arrived at, though no one really spoke about it officially. There were rumours that a few people felt his action was illegal. While there were murmurs about his action being suspect, it all came to a head on Boxing Day, 1995. It was during the second test in Melbourne against Australia that the fireworks were set off. One of the officiating umpires in the match, Darryl Hare, felt that Murli was bending his arm and then straightening it in the process of delivery, something which is an illegal action in cricket. Thus, when Murli bowled from the end Hare was officiating from, he was no-balled 7 times in 3 overs. Incidentally, Murli had bowled 2 overs from the other end, and the other umpire in the match was officiating and had faced no trouble. When after lunch, he switched ends to bowl from Hare's end, the trouble began soon after. His 3rd over, first from Hare's end, was a maiden and all deliveries deemed legitimate. In the 4th, he was no-balled twice by Hare and 3 times in the 4th over. These 5 calls certainly had Murli and his captain at the time, Arjuna Ranatunga, upset. Even the commentators on air, Tony Greig and Bill Lawry, were perplexed with the no-balling and were sympathetic to Murli's plight. They feared long-term damage to his fledgling career. In fact, Arjuna left the field for a few minutes after that to consult with his team management on what the approach on the field should be. On his return, he persisted with Murli from Hare's end and was called twice more in his 6th over. Ranatunga then removed Murli from the attack and reintroduced him shortly thereafter from the other end. He bowled 32 overs after being no-balled without being no-balled again by Hare.
Right, and he says that one's a right. And it's been smashed away for 4. It's almost as a sort of side issue at the moment. We're talking about a guy's career. This young man, Murli, this could be the last time he bowls in a test match. You can imagine what's going through his mind at the moment. That's his 50. Well, he'll get a big cheer here, although this crowd has gone very quiet. The youngster down the other end, Murli, is seeing his career float right out of the window. He's being no-balled out of the game. Umpire Hare is the umpire who's doing it. He's decided that his action is not legitimate.
The Sri Lankan team management was notably incensed by the event, however. At the end of the match, sought permission from the ICC to confer with Hare to understand what exactly was the issue he saw in Murli's action, so that they could work towards remedying it. While ICC agreed to this proposal, the Australian Cricket Board did not allow it, fearing that it would then become the norm for players to question umpires and seek time with them. The Sri Lankans then decided to play Murli regardless, in matches during the ODI series, to follow in which Hare would not officiate. Back in the day, legendary Sri Lanka spinner Muttiah Muralitharan was accused of throwing during 2 consecutive tours of Australia by the S of umpires. Happening for the second time, the incident ended up becoming one of the greatest controversies ever witnessed in the sport. During the Benson and Ampi Hedges series, 1995 to 96, Australia, West Indies and Sri Lanka were fighting a tough battle. During West Indies innings, umpire Tony McQuillan called Muttiah Muralitharan's off-breaks as no balls, citing throwing as the reason. Muralitharan subsequently had to bowl leg spin deliveries to complete his over. A 23-year-old Muralitharan had to miss the rest of the tournament. ICC hired officials from the biomechanics sector to look into the matter. Muralitharan had to go through various tests and came back with a remodeled action. Sri Lanka toured Australia for the Carlton and Ampunt United series involving host Australia and England in 1998 to 99. January 23, 1999, saw exactly what happened 3 years ago. The same duo of umpires in McQuillan and Ross Emerson again called Muralitharan for throwing.
We've got Murli about to be introduced into the attack. These two umpires, last time they were together, both no-balled Murli for throwing. Umpire Emerson, he started it last time, and umpire McQuillan this time is at the bowler's end. So here we go. Murli about to start a spell here. And just played away on the offside. And thankfully no bellows of no ball from the crowd. It seems that little bit of behaviour is beginning to disappear. Seemed a little uncalled for. Murli again. Well, 2 balls have been bowled and all as well. So Murli continuing with these off spinners. And he certainly will make it pretty difficult here. He's very economical, big spinner of the ball. Despite the fact this is a good pitch, he'll keep it up there, he'll spin it. He's got that lovely top spinner that he bowls as well. Oh, and just wide.
It's a little uppish. Big shouts of catch it. Graham Hick for a minute. His heart in his mouth.
So still plenty of tickets available here today. A good crowd. Australia not involved. Quite a good crowd have turned up. A lot of atmosphere in the ground. Plenty of Sri Lankans. And no ball called from square leg. No ball called from square leg. Now what's all this about? Let's just hang on and have a look at this. This is very interesting. No ball called. And he's passed, he's signaled towards his arm. Now let's think about this now. What is going to happen here? So it's all...
But this time the Sri Lanka captain in Arjuna Ranatunga did not resort with the umpires. The fact that the ICC officials had cleared Muralitharan turned strongly against the umpires. Ranatunga, in the middle of the ground, was seen involving in an animated aggressive chat with Emerson. It seemed as if both the parties were adamant to stick to their notions. Ranatunga finally led his players off the field in a protest against the umpires.
It's the square leg umpire who's called him. What is this about?
Well, if I were Arjuna, I'd be telling him, if he's thrown it wide and you call it the over 4, you're a club cricketer, you have no experience in this matter. The officials who made the decision, all bar 2 of them are experienced international players, and here we have a man who is standing there and telling us that the ICC throwing committee don't know what they're talking about, but he does.
Now, what I'm trying to work out here, we'll come back to whether this is right or wrong in a moment. What I'm trying to work out is what the plan is. Sri Lanka would have thought about this. My guess is that what he's saying is that he'll now bowl, he'll continue to bowl, but he's going to bowl leg spinners. Now, that's what they did last time. He'll bowl leg spinners from that end. Or can he? Or perhaps is he thinking, I want to take him off right now?
I think he's telling that umpire, I think, to get his head into gear. Because I'm sorry, I think this is pathetic. Talk about the whinging Poms. About the whinging Aussies. This is just totally out of order. It's not necessary. If this is to be discussed at some stage, in the middle of a tournament, it's not. This young man in your picture here has got over 200 Test wickets. There's been debate about it. He's been cleared. I'm sorry, umpire, you're out of order.
Yes, there's plenty of umpires around the world that, and they're not happy. This guy's an absolute hero. I think they're not going to go off the ground, are they? They're going to concede the match. And McQuillan is taking his time. I think the Sri Lankans have had enough. They've conceded the match. Well, I've got to say that I've got just a little bit of sympathy with the Sri Lankans here. They've absolutely had enough. And McQuillan has called no ball. Sorry, Emerson has called no ball from square leg. I'd say this game has been conceded.
I don't blame Arjuna. Arjuna Ranatunga's exactly right. I think umpire Emerson is saying that he knows more than everyone else playing the game. Umpires all around the world, they're happy with what that young man has done. This man here doesn't say anything in the first over. Well, I think it's bizarre. Unnecessary. Does nothing for the game of cricket. One man's moment of glory.
Yes, well, I hope that the Sri Lankans do come back on. I think their manager will come down and talk to them. The umpires are standing there. The Sri Lankan players have not gone off the field yet. Having a discussion maybe with their manager there.
Ranjith Fernando, manager of the Sri Lankan team, intervened in between and convinced Ranatunga to continue with the match. Emerson wasn't allowed to officiate in the remaining matches of the tournament. It took an audacious Ranatunga to do what he did on that day. His body language was the proof that Sri Lanka would not bow down to unfair umpiring decisions. He couldn't see anything unfair happening to a bowler who by then had 200-odd test wickets under his belt. For all we know, he was the first one to realise that Muralitharan's career was at stake. Who knows what would have happened had Muralitharan been handed a suspension or a ban at that stage of his career. The consequences of the altercation could have been severe on Ranatunga's personal career. Yet he fought for his bowler, which brings us to the conclusion that a captain has to step up for his team on such an occasion to ensure that his players are also given a fair chance.